Thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in each and every day, and we'll do the same without wasting a single second of your time. Bada bing, bada boom, we go in that ascending channel manner, up to the upside, following the pitch fan 0.5618 golden pocket take profit level after going into that 236 zone, displaying a rocket and bouncing out, and then displaying another rocket here and bouncing out. And here we are, hitting that 618 and coming back down again. What is in store for BTC? Are we going to range trade up and hit a little bit of a higher note and then come back down? Let's go take a look at the liquidity of high block. What is high block? Well, people lock their liquidity into the charts to get burnt to a crisp by the market maker, and we get to see where those crispy characters lie in wait. So let's do it now. Let's go see what's up to everyone in here. All right, and the 1 minute time frame. So we were talking about possibly coming up to that 100x pool up at the 274 million at 35,102, and their partner in crime at 35,467, and we did hit that pool up there at 35,102. Let's go ahead and first show what was displayed from yesterday when we were starting to flip the cloud. And we were talking about coming back into that region. We said we would come down to here and then bounce out. We nearly hit that exactly down to where we would be going. And yeah, now we're up at that 618 rejection zone. And let's go back to the high block. So we hit that $274 million 100x pool and knocked them out.
Fatality.
And do we continue higher to go up to that 35,467? It's entirely possible to clear that 50x pool and beyond. There is a 25x pool percolating at 36,163. 36,163 would put you up above into the higher high region. 163 would put you up here ish. So if it decides to just sweep everything, that's where it would go. But fading at that 706 is entirely possible if we go for a deep retrace at that time. We still have a day's time for the weekly candle close. Do we close out strong in this region and then fade? That is the question. Let's go ahead, and we did a higher time frame liquidity sweep idea, but not much changes in that update, and I have to teach in about 20 minutes, so I have limited time. Basically, there is a draw to the downside on the 7-day imbalance to the imbalance to the longs to the downside on the monthly as well. At some point coming a retrace to sweep the lows at 33k is entirely possible. Same thing on the 3-month percolating some shorts up above, but ultimately getting a drawdown into these double digits beneath the range at 33.2 makes sense at some point into an order block. You got those established positions down at 24k that are looking to get their stop loss hit into profit, so sweeping the lows to do that would make sense if we want to travel higher. On the 2-year, there is that 133 million at 36.4. Is there enough justice to come up and grab it is the question. So let's go into the momentum and see how we were able to catch that move. Yesterday we were to pivot out of that ABC to the downside, seeing it hit the super trend and deciding to go with the idea of upside. What is Momentum Master? Link is in the description for more. Scroll down to features and you could toggle everything at your leisure. Read about the trend clouds, the baselines, the stochastic array, and beyond. So the stochastic array telling you about the 4 time frames oversold, and so on and so forth. So we were watching this insinuation of this cloud shift and coming down and kissing the cloud. We did come and kiss that cloud and bounce out, never to be seen again. From that point, our live was about back here on Saturday. How did we know it was going to go up? Well, there was liquidity up above in the 100x 50x pool we just went over, and also this baseline was crossing up on you. Also, we are holding the super trend. I believe it was on the 4 hour, was it? Yes, the 4 hour super trend got that little bit of a bounce. We did not break it. We were talking about possibly coming beneath and going like this and bearishly retesting and then closing. This A wave did not make it beneath the super trend, so we pivoted off of the A. We did catch this short idea down, and then we started to pivot around that point when the super trend was holding, and they're called pivots for a reason, so we caught that pivot. And so now, where do we stand? So you should be trimming at the 618 anyway, and or moving stops into profit. Is there anything we can catch to monitor the call and the idea that we had yesterday? Shout out to everyone here. What's up, CNC? Yo, yo, yo. Now, do you need Momentum Master to have all of, like, sure, I could take this off and turn off the history. Like, I could turn it into a package where it's like it only displays the most recent, and it's like, ooh, wow, so accurate. But I want to be able to see each time it put out that oversold idea and how deep it retraced into it, because the signals and the places where it shows that oversold nature in the history are not a lie. Like, there are 4 time frames oversold here, and it's eating into that. So how deep it eats into that 4 is giving me some information that my brain can process. So I like having the history on. It could be a bit much for people. You don't need to have the history on. I think the default is off. But if we look at this, it did eat into the 4. It turns into 5 with the rocket ship, and then the 6 time frames, and then boom, we were gone. This is the bottom of Bitcoin, and this type of thing occurs over and over again. We were putting that out back when we were looking at this idea here, and this was the same thing when we came back to this point on Friday, October 13th. We are seeing the same stuff that we see here on the schematic. It's called a schematic for a reason, because it is a blueprint of what you see over and over again. And we had some rocket ships appear here. If we go back properly, it should appear there. I don't know if it was on the hourly, but it was definitely on the 15. And we have that short where it goes over it as well. Yeah, there you go, your rocket ships. And you were getting that liquidity grab sauce. And yeah, that was basically this schematic over and over again. And you got that high probability of it playing out. And sure enough, it did. 33% in 12 days it did. And so now we're just catching the vestiges of the possible reversal idea. Does it come up into that pocket here? There is a fair value gap at this 6566 region and the sweep up above the 706. Does it continue? We're basically monitoring what we said yesterday. I don't think there's any point to jump in at this stage if you weren't following from yesterday's down here. That would have given you a smooth percent and nearly 2% with a little bit of a 5x levy or so. That's not bad. 10%. And the other cloud that we were looking at was the 6 hour cloud that came back to reclaim. And we were looking at the idea of that failing. It still could fail, The angle is drifting ever so slight to the upside, so this could continue for however long it needs to. Who is behind me? Is that my daughter or my wife? That's my wife. Looking for some tape. And let's go ahead here. Still bouncing off that 6 hour cloud. Let's go descend through the time frames very quickly. Do our due diligence for the time frames. We were talking about the baselines crossing down. They're your first sign of reversal. It's doing that on the daily, so be aware. We could still extended M and then drop it. I saw a YouTuber yesterday putting out a projection for 44K, which is utterly ridiculous. It's just as utterly ridiculous as the people that put out the projections for 7K. It's just like, why would you do that? There's no liquidity up there. Look at that. There's nothing. There's nothing, so there's no need to project. The most you should be projecting up to is 36.4 or 37K. Like the whole like hype train, like it's so irresponsible. The amount of retailers they must be trapping into that idea here, only to get it reverse on them, and they'll be like, "But I told you, we'll cover that when we get there." Well, if you're gonna cover it when you get there, then there's no need to project to 44, is there? Just keep your projections frugal and don't trap your audience. You know what I mean? But they don't care. They just live in jacuzzis off their trading group's money. So let's go to that daily time frame. It's starting to reset here, and it is not nearly crossing the baseline or the Williams just yet, but when that Williams gets that alarm clock cross lock in, it could suppress this daily reset when it decides to occur. The 3-day, we talked about that draw up to that 36.4 region that would sweep the range here and take that 133 billion and hit that adaptive. What do I mean by the adaptive? Well, that is another thing you can read about here. The adaptive, a sensitive yet stable moving average which factors out noise and displays an accurate place where price will experience resistance or return to for support. Last time it did that on the 3-day was March 26, 2022. So if we come up to that and reject, it's kind of like a VWAP. Makes sense. If it does that and rejects, it would sweep the entirety of this range. Could it be so clean to do that? I don't know. Looking at the 22 that yours truly discovered and was co-opted by somebody else who likes to claim it as theirs, this is the backtestable level of the broken time frames of the daily. So we did get that daily reset on the 22 looking to possibly take off, but the suppression of the Williams, which others do not use, could just cause this suppression, this false takeoff to occur. So I'd be careful of that Williams on the 22. And if we go to the 12 hour also looking to take off, but the suppression of the Williams could be coming into effect, so be careful. And if you look at the 6 hour, it's slowly but surely starting to give that upside play alongside the 4 hour, I believe. So we'll go to the 4 hour. 4 hour also doing that with the curveball of the disparity between the money flow and the RSI here starting to come up, as it does when there is a disparity. And a bounce off the cloud on the 4 hour. So the 4 hour reclamation of the cloud was where we started to pivot and look right there for that bounce off the cloud again, and sure enough it did. Coming into that 618 zone here, the 706, and bouncing. Now do we get that rejection off the other retracement here? Coming to the hourly. The hourly getting a little bit of volume on that spike up and a little bit of tapering volume. This is the take profit and or breakout trader sweep, and they are going to possibly continue into the daily candle close, which would bring you, if we just turn this off really quick, I just want to see how the daily candle would look by itself. So it's just that ascending channel goodness, basically up in this range. Okay. Coming back to the hourly. So we still haven't swept the fair value gap or the liquidity pool up above for the 50xers. I would be surprised if we don't. If we stop here, we're basically refueling off of the 100x longs, that breakout traders over here. So these longs that opened up here, 40 million opened up at 35,128, their liquidation at 34,981. So coming down into the 58 million and refueling off of their breakout trader neophyte carcass would be the play today, where they come back into these breakout traders that are longing into resistance like this.
Fatality.
And yeah, could it go lower and take out this 168 million down at 34,384? At some point it will. Is it going to be this immediate one, or will we sweep this 50x short pool? I think the 50x short pool is on the chopping block first and foremost, and then after that point we come back down to the longs. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Basically, we will continue on this path, possibly up to that pool, and then we can look for that rejection. You do have that Hail Mary play at the 36,162 region, but to sweep all of this happiness up to that 25x pool, but I don't necessarily see it going there. But if you have that hopium in your blood, you can keep your stops into profit and enjoy the ride. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, folks. That's all the time I have. I have to get ready for my lesson with the board of directors guy for a car company, so I got to get prepared. So thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in each and every day, and we'll do the same, bringing the fire, the accuracy, the precision, all that fun stuff, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.